welcome to this extra for Dialogue. I'm Marcia Franklin, and we're continuing our conversation about the role of independent bookstores and libraries in our communities, one of my favorite topics, I must admit, because I'm a fan of both. And with me is Jamaica Ritcher from BookPeople of Moscow, Bruce DeLaney from Rediscovered Books in Boise, and Diane Rice from the Ada Community Library Victory Branch. Thanks for staying a little bit longer. Bruce, you were saying that this phenomenon of independent bookstores, which we'd heard this hue and cry that they were going to go under completely, and many did, of course, with internet sales. But there's a resurgence, yes, and it's not just here.
And it's not just here. One of the things you have to remember is it's not just the internet. When Borders and Barnes & Noble really hit the scene, there was a huge drop-off in the number of independent bookstores, and the same things that are said about Amazon now were said about them. They're going to kill the independent store. We are seeing really a resurgence, not just in Boise and in Moscow, but across the country. If you go, the American Booksellers Association, which is our trade group, keeps records of how many independent bookstores, and ever since we've been open, that number has grown every year. And I know on a personal level, we have continued to grow every year, and especially since we moved to downtown Boise, since it is such a vibrant place to be a bookstore, we have seen growth not just in the number of people who are shopping at our store, but the number of opportunities we have to interact with the community and community groups, from the library to, we've done events with the women's shelter, we've done events with various wineries, various restaurants. We would love to actually have more ability to partner with other downtown and Boise organizations, just because it's so much fun to do. But
it's hard work, isn't it?
It is hard work. Nothing worth doing is not hard work.
I mean, and how many books a year do you read so that you can
I
be
read
informed?
about 400 books a year. Now that does include graphic novels and children's books, so that's not reading 400 copies of the Brothers Karamazov every year. But I read a lot of literature, a lot of adult books. You have to. People come to our stores to talk to us about books, and if you aren't keeping up with what's in the literature and aren't reading, you can't have that conversation, and that conversation is what's important.
And then there's the whole business side of things as well.
There's the whole business side as well.
Trying to
I have a wonderful staff at the store. I'm very blessed with the people who choose to work in our store, and I think any of our customers would come in and say, yeah, I come here not just for the books and not just for the community, but they want to come and talk to someone on our staff. They might want to talk to Barb or Wally or Ross or one of the people who works, and we will have people come in who want to talk to former employees. And so they'll say, the next time Ross, who's one of our former booksellers, is in, could you ask him what he's reading, because I want to know. You form those connections with your customers.
And you're getting, both of you I know are getting young kids starting and enjoying books.
Oh yeah.
Not just being on a device.
The best thing that you can do is have someone comes in and says, my son, and it's almost always my son, doesn't like to read. And what that says to me is no one has given him a story that he can identify with, something to love. And when that same person comes in to buy the sequel to the book that you recommended, or another book, or that the child comes in and says, I just finished, the first book in the Harry Potter series, what else is out there that's like that? You just feel like you're making a difference. You feel so good about what you've chosen to do with your life.
How's it working at BookPeople along those lines?
Well, just talking about kids, one of the things that we've done is to begin a kids advisory board and a teen advisory board. So we have these two clubs, basically. We get so many advanced reader copies of books, and what we do, these kids meet monthly, and they share, they check out advanced readers, write reviews.
Oh, they write reviews.
They write reviews. They go on our website, they go on the Facebook, and then they talk about the books and share them. So they're really getting involved. I mean, they're getting enthusiastic about reading, or maintaining their enthusiasm for reading, but also, I mean, it's sort of a nice mutual relationship. They're helping us to find out what's exciting out there.
And your title is event coordinator. There wouldn't be a need for an event coordinator at a bookstore if all these connections that we're talking about weren't happening.
Right.
So it sounds like it's an important way for the library to stay relevant, is to have these events.
The library and the bookstore, yeah. I mean, and we do partner with our library in Latah County, with the university as well. You know, we are selling books at many of their events, or acting as a venue for author events when they're coming to the Department of English or to other departments.
How's the business doing? Is it like Bruce's? Is it doing well?
It's doing well and getting better every year. So we're really excited about that. Yeah, this idea that the bookstore is a quiet place is inaccurate. It's hopping.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I always do when I go into community is that's unfamiliar to me is I check out, so to speak, the bookstore to see if there is an independent bookstore, and I always go to the library in a community because I think you can tell a lot about a community's priorities from how their library how its library looks and is funded. And I know that in this valley down here, we almost can't keep up with, you know, they're hoping to build yet another branch library in Boise, and then of course rehab the downtown one. So libraries are still very relevant too.
Absolutely. I think that they're the best free thing that we have in our culture. I think that what has happened too with libraries and probably bookstores is they have become community centers where people can connect and grow. And one of the movements that we've been working with is the maker movement, which is sort of tied in with the STEM, or science, technology, engineering, and math, in that people who have experience, life experience, can come in and share something. And recently we partnered with the BSU engineering department, and some of their students built a marble wall where we can do things like illustrate physics, gravity, force, and have fun and play. And it's going to be for all ages, from, you know,
marble,
8
not,
to
not
80.
Marble as in marble columns, but marbles,
sphere moving
little
capacities. It's a marble wall similar to the Exploratorium in San Francisco. They have a marble wall. And we also had a traditional dressmaker who was from England that taught dressmaking, and we did a raffle for a Edwardian suit that we created, and people would come to learn about sewing, take a piece of it home and sew a part of it, and it came together and became a fundraiser for further maker opportunities. And I'm just thrilled that we can change with the time and find other ways of communicating. And I have a quote by Ursula Le Guin. She's 85 years old, and she was at the National Book Awards, and Neil Gaiman was presenting her with her award. And she said some things about bookstores and libraries. I think hard times are coming when we will be wanting the voices of writers who can see alternatives to how we live now, and can see through their fear-stricken society and its obsessive technologies to other ways of being, and even imagine some real grounds for hope. We will need writers who can remember freedom, poets, visionaries, the realists of a larger reality. Books, you know, they're not just commodities. The profit motive often is in conflict with the aims of art. We live in capitalism, its power seems inescapable, so did the divine right of kings. But any human power can be resisted and changed by human beings. Resistance and change often begin in art, and very often in our art, the art of words. When she said that, I think she just caught it all, right? Caught the wave of the fact that inside of the books is a power for change and for hope for our world.
Tell me a little bit about how you think the iPad/Kindle, all of that, reading things electronically, has affected people's desire to purchase a book.
There are a lot of readers out there, and it's a way to just quickly and easily digest that. But people also want to have something tangible. There's something, I mean, you just can't replace holding a book. And so I think there's room for both.
And what we've seen is twofold. We've actually seen a rise in the sales of beautiful books, leather-bound books, really, really nice books, because that's not the experience you're getting with the reader. If you're going to have a copy of something that you want to keep and it's important to you, you want it to be really, really nice. The second thing I've seen, and part of this is the parent of a now 17-year-old, a lot of people, when they have that iPad, the Kindle Fire, whatever, they're not reading on it. They're playing Angry Birds, they're surfing the internet. They get, reading is one of those mediums where you want to immerse yourself in the story, and reading electronically doesn't lend itself to that very well because it's beeping at you, and it's reminding that you could look at the definition of a word rather than losing yourself in Dr. Zhivago.
But do you think the next generation or this young generation cares about that? Maybe they do want to stop and do all that
with the number of young readers that we're seeing coming into the store and the number of people we have coming in and saying, yeah, I've got it on my iPad or I've got it on my Kindle, but I want a copy. We hear that more and more. I read Divergent and I loved it so much I want a copy because that's how they want to interact with it.
So maybe they do a tryout or something online and they say, I really want the book.
But the other thing that we have to be cognizant of is it's been really good for authors to have that as a place to publish. I mean, there are many, many books that were never going to be published by the traditional publishers that have a place online, and we want those authors to write books. If authors stopped writing great books, we'd all have to go get different jobs.
Well, and that means, yeah.
And there's a place for e-books and audiobooks in that there are a number of people, for instance, my husband volunteers for the Talking Book program, who maybe physically it's hard for them to manipulate a physical book, and so they can adapt by using the lit screen and making the text bigger and turning the pages by sliding their fingers, and it's so you have to look at I have every day there are people who are in their 60s to 80-year-old people that come in and want their devices loaded, and they'll tell me they do it while they're doing their crocheting, their gardening. You know, they're not just passive readers, but they want to keep their books with them. So there'll always be a place for books, but e-readers are also turning into something dynamic for all ages, not just the youth, I believe.
You mentioned the explosion in publishing. A lot of authors, local authors, of course, now have this self-publishing option, which brings more of them into the store to do readings, to sell books. So
and is allowing them a little bit more control over how their art is used and how their art is interpreted. I mean, it's nice for the authors to be able to say, I'm choosing to publish this way, I'm choosing to do this, where they might not have gotten a choice 5 or 10 years ago. So I think an explosion of people wanting to write books and an explosion of people wanting to read books is nothing but good for us as booksellers and librarians. I mean, it's what we do.
And one story, I mean, this is a story I heard from more than one person, is that they've read a copy of a book so much that it's worn and tattered, but they don't want to buy a new copy of it. So they'll load it on their e-reader and reread the book without damaging their precious book. So.
Well, this is all great news. I'm a big fan of the humanities and reading, and so happy to hear that libraries and independent bookstores are thriving. Thanks so much for taking the additional time to talk with us in this Dialogue Extra. I'm Marcia Franklin. You've been listening to Jamaica Ritcher, Bruce DeLaney, and Diane Rice. Thanks for tuning in.